Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 470 of Ink in Your Veins. I'm Rachael Herron, and I'm so pleased that you are with me today as I speak to A.M Rose on a pantser turning into a plotter. And she's so fun and funny. And her kindness to herself that I always ask about involves a cat. So please stick around. We also talk about finding time and all of the other cool, fun things. So that is going to be happening in just a moment. This will be a short intro. I had a crappy couple of days, kind of the weekend, as a migraine built up in my body and then had its way with me. So I'm pretty tired and exhausted and pulling things back together. But I will say that I managed to be really kind to myself and take some time off. And I had to cancel class, which I've only done this. I think this is the second time I've ever had to cancel class for a migraine. I have I've just been lucky at other times, and I had the choice of feeling terrible about that because what happens in my brain, and this is the way my brain works, and not everybody's brain works this way, but my brain says you're sick, therefore you are inconveniencing a great deal of other people, many other people. And this was, kind of hammered into me from 17 years of working 911, where when I was sick, somebody else got mandated to either stay over an extra 6 or 8 or 12 hours, or sometimes 24 hours, depending on where I was working, or they got mandated to come in and cover that shift because you can't just close 911. So for those 17 years, if I ever had to call out sick, which I did, I just felt so guilty. And I've still got that guilt built up inside me. And this time I just tried to turn it off. I tried to take it off of my personhood and hang it up on the wall. It'll be there later if I need it. I reinstalled TikTok on my phone because I can look at screens if they're small and quiet when I have a migraine. I don't have the visual pain. And I let it act like the drug it is. And I took all the drugs that I have for it, and I just laid there and kind of let myself go, let myself turn off. No guilt, just watching social media. I watched some stupid movies and lay there and recovered. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I am able to do that. I'm so grateful that I'm able to do that. I moved my class out a few days, and most people will be able to attend. And oh, all of this followed. Um, Sometimes I can feel migraines coming in different ways, but one of the ways is that I sometimes get real angry, or I get really antsy, or I get borderline manic, and I do not use that word lightly. And on Monday, before I got the migraine Monday evening, um, on Monday I did everything. I finished 2 books. And I don't mean I finished reading 2 books. I finished writing 2 books. I have never done that on the same day. And I got to tell you, it felt good. It felt so, it felt so good. Granted, one of them was just page proofs for Seven Miracles. So I finished those page proofs. I was doing them on my Remarkable. It was remarkable. I finished them up, sent them to my editor. And then for the rest of the day for my writing time, I worked on the fix, and I thought I would be able to finish revising this big revision of the fix by the end of this week. However, it was just one of those revisions where, oh, suddenly, boom, I don't need that last chapter. That last epilogue I don't need that. It's useless. I got rid of it, and I was done that day. So on Monday, I finished page proofs and I finished a major revision. And it felt so good. Plus, I did a billion other things. I went for a swim. I made bread. I made dinner. I led Rachel Says Right. I had a couple of meetings. I wrote down everything I did that day because it felt so good. I had just done everything. But I realized later that night when the migraine hit me that that's what had been happening. I used to think that doing too much gave me migraines, and it was took a long time for the dots to connect in my head, for me to realize that no, that is a symptom of getting a migraine. Just like I used to think that insomnia gave me migraines until my wife pointed out, no, you realize you get insomnia. You get kind of that head that won't shut up and it's going bananas. You get that because you are entering migraine. And yeah, that allows me to release some guilt around that. And I'm really proud about finishing two books on Monday. That was a high, like I'm probably never gonna have again, but I felt really good. And the dinner I made was great too. So Tuesday and Wednesday we're in bed. Today is Thursday, and I am a shadow of my normal self, but I am feeling so much better. So I will stop the intro. We will jump into this bio and I will let you listen to her. She is such a treat. You're going to love this. Anne Rose is a typical Taurus, loyal but stubborn, which means being an author is perfect. While asking the private group for chat for ideas on what to include in this bio, Anne was reminded that some of her greatest qualities are her awesome best friends from high school, a fact she couldn't argue with. She loves dark chocolate, sarcasm, her family, tacos, and her cats. Obviously not in that order. Anne also writes young adult novels under the pen name A.M. Rose. The seemingly impossible love life of Amanda Dean is her most recent novel. Here's the interview. I'm so glad that you all are here. Well, I could not be more pleased to have you on the show. Hello and welcome. Would you please share your name and pronouns with us?
I am Anne Rose, she, her, and I am so excited to be here with you today as well. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. As we are speaking, your book is getting ready to come out. However, by the time people hear this, it will be out. So, The Seemingly Impossible Love Life of Amanda Dean will be everywhere. And I want to talk to you about that book. We'll get to that in a moment. But you also write under your pen name A.M. Rose. You're a writer who writes, and that's who we love to talk to on this show. Can you please tell us a little bit about your writing process? What does it look like on a day-to-day real life basis?
Wait, I'm sorry. Are we supposed to write every day? Because I do not. I
No,
do not write every
I don't
day.
either. Yay, tell
No,
me more about that. When do you
no.
write?
So I get my best writing done in car line. I know that
Really?
sounds, yeah, it's so random, but okay, I'm that parent that goes early, but I go early for a purpose. So I am there like an hour early because it is quiet. There
Yeah,
is no Wi-Fi, so I
right.
cannot get distracted, and no one is talking to me. No one is talking to me.
That
So I
is
bring my laptop,
brilliant.
I sit in my car, and I just type. I only have an hour, but I get so much work done.
You can get so much work done. Plus, then you're at the front of the line and you get to
I
leave.
am, yes. There is
Do
also
you
that.
do you have one of those? I used to have this a long time ago when I did commuting. One of those little lap desks that you can attach to the steering wheel. Have you seen that?
Okay, so I do not have that, but Instagram has been listening to me and they have been showing me desks for my car. And I'm just like, I feel like they know me on a very personal level now.
And also, it feels very, very wrong to
Yeah,
get something like that. But in the case of writers who write in cars, it is so right. It's not like we're writing while we're driving. The desktop is not being used while the car is in motion, although I'm sure somebody has done that somewhere. But do not recommend. That is
yeah.
such a great idea. Does anybody ever come and knock on the window and say, "Oh, you're here again. Let's have a little gossip chat catch up," or no?
No, no. I live in Texas and it's way too hot to stand outside of your car. So, yeah, no one is getting out of their car. No, it's not
That is
happening.
the first time I've ever heard this answer, and it is fantastic. It's like a sacrosanct church of a vehicle. Like no one, this is your sacred
Yeah.
space and time. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, what is the most exciting thing you've ever realized about your writing process?
Um, that that
I
I
love you're
can
rolling your eyes
plot,
as you're saying this.
that I can plot. What? Like I was such a pantser and like, oh, so Amanda Dean is the first book I actually sat down and plotted. I knew the entire story before I
Wow.
sat down. And so like it's both exciting and also like I hate it, but I love it.
So some people say that when they plot, they lose the magic of being a pantser. And I know that I have felt that in my life in the past. And yeah, tell me about that. Did you feel any of that?
So no, I think I was scared of that too, right? Like you're
Yeah.
scared that you're just gonna whatever. But the process I think is kind of exciting and fun. And like it's for me, the plot isn't so excruciating. It's not something I'm tied to. And
Hmm.
also it's very like vaguely outlined. So it's like a vague outline, like, okay, this is the scene, but like what happens in that scene, how it happens, what who says like none of that is decided
Right.
yet. So it's still kind of fun and it's still exploratory as I go through and write the actual words on the page. So it's not too bad.
How did that affect, if it matters? This may be a question that you just say, no, that doesn't matter to me. But how did it affect, if it did, the speed slash ease of writing the first draft of Amanda Dean?
Oh, I hate to admit this, but it makes it a lot easier. Yeah. And
I know, and I hate it too. I hate it. I hate it. Tell
yeah,
me
it
more. Tell
was
me more about that. What did it?
I just because I knew what was going on, like it
Yeah.
made it really so another thing about Amanda Dean is that it is not a linear plot. So we are flashing back through her life. And so when I plotted it, I actually knew exactly the beats that were going to happen. And so I started writing it like that, right? Like I started writing it like, okay, so this is this date, this is this. And then I realized I'm still kind of pantsing this, right? And still figuring out like her side characters and other things along the way. So I'm like, okay, no. So luckily, I have Word and I use Word. I write in Word. And so I had everything in headings. So I just had the dates. And so I put every date in chronological order. I drafted the whole thing chronologically then. And then I shifted everything around. So it
That's
worked.
cool.
Yeah.
So you were really experiencing with her as you went through time, as she was learning, and that's how you're learning more about the book too. But you had to know yourself well enough and your process well enough to say, wait, no, no, that's not working for me. I need to do it. I need to try it this way.
Yeah.
So for your next book, do you think you will do the same kind of thing?
No.
Tell me more.
So I've actually I already written the next book. So the
Hmm.
next book is done. It's with my editor right now, and it is completely different from Amanda Dean, and it's a dual point of view. So in that regard, I did write almost one point of view, and then I went and wrote the second point of view, so I could more clearly be in the character's head instead of trying to go
Hmm.
back and forth as I went along. So I think that was really helpful.
Yeah.
But so yeah, two
But you
different
didn't have it
projects.
all, you didn't have it all plotted out before you started
No.
writing. Yes.
And not really. Like I had
Yeah.
to provide an outline to my editor and like so I knew kind of where it was going, but it wasn't to the level of Amanda Dean. It was not.
And also,
It
we
was
know when we turn in outlines to our editors, if we have a multi-book deal, we're like, we all know we're not going to write that book. That we're just
yeah.
trying to get a sign off, and then
Yeah.
we will deliver the book that comes out, not necessarily the book that we promised.
Right. It doesn't always follow the exact same lines you think it is.
It should be in the same genre, maybe same name of the character, but otherwise, what in writing do you struggle with the most?
Well, finding time to write,
Mhm.
obviously. So that I definitely struggle with. I think sometimes I struggle with some of the narrative sometimes during that first draft. Like I can hear the characters talking, I can hear those conversations happening, but I don't always remember to add in like those emotional beats
Mm. Yeah.
until I go back through. So I think that that is something that I'm aware of that sometimes I have to dig deeper when I do revisions. So I think those are the big things, but the finding the time is the biggest thing,
You
right?
have you've already blown our minds with the go early. Actually, that reminds me. Before I went full time writing, I used to have to be at work at this night job at 6 p.m. But the traffic was so heinous that I would have had to leave at 4 p.m. just to get there at 6 p.m. So instead, I would leave my house at 2 p.m., have no traffic, and I'd go sit for almost 4 hours in a cafe and write before I would go to this job. So I would go early somewhere to find the time.
Yeah.
Where else might you have found some time in your life? Where do you find it? Or is that it?
I mean,
The answer may be just in the car, Rachel. That's all I got.
it's a lot in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually
Yeah.
made like I finally made the connection like this last summer when the kids were home and all the things that I really I like got no writing done all summer long. None, not a single
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Weird. So I'm like, okay, so this is what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to go buy that desk on Instagram. And then when I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm just gonna have to go sit in a parking lot. I'm just gonna have to go
You
sit in a
go back
parking
to the
lot.
school, but the kids are not in. You're just
It's like
in.
Saturday. I'm just
I
like,
really like this spot. I'm
yeah. But
not
really,
suspicious
officer,
at
I'm
all.
just doing some writing. What is this? No, no one's hiding a dead body in this scene. I swear, no one is.
They would be so confused. They would just like walk away. They would not know what to do with a writer.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. What are you really, really good at in writing?
So I saw this question because I obviously you send it some questions beforehand, right? So I like to be
A
transparent.
little
I
prepped.
really had to think about this one because I am my own worst cheerleader. I am terrible at being my own.
That's
I'm
why I
terrible about
love
talking.
to ask this question. I love to make writers answer it.
I think it's a great question. So I think I'm hysterical, and that's what I think I do well. I think I'm funny. I think
Awesome.
I can put humor into stories. I think I understand the timing of humor.
Mm.
So like I can set up a joke and then deliver it like a page later and you're like, "Oh, I got you," So or even like a chapter later or I don't
Is
know. Maybe I should have been a stand-up comedian. I have no idea.
I mean, have you ever there's not too late. You could always try. You
No,
could do
oh
the
no.
improv. You could do all of that.
I don't actually think I have that skill. I think that is like a pipe dream. Like I think that I could do it, but though people that can do stand-up comedy are amazing. Like they've got wit, they've got timing, they have got it. Those comebacks quick for those people in the audience, like
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I watch them. I'm like, how did you think that? I would think of it 3 days later. And it
right,
would be brilliant. But
right.
yeah.
You'd be like sitting in your house still stewing about it and been like, should have said that. I should
But
have
it's not
said
even a
that.
second. The other person has not even stopped talking and they
Yeah.
are, and it's always surprise anyway. But for the normal mortal, what would you tell a newish writer who wants to be a little bit funnier or bring their own humor out a little bit more? What would you encourage them to do?
I
I know
mean,
it's a hard question.
I feel like this is a skill that you either have or I don't know how you develop it because again, I just think I naturally am funny. I don't know. Like
You've
maybe
always
I'm
been
not.
funny. You're
Maybe
gonna be funny. You're funny to me.
yeah,
So
see, thank you. See, exactly. Like I think I'm hysterical. So I don't know if I'm sure you can learn this skill, but I'm not sure where you would go to learn this skill. It's just trial and error with anything else.
I think that there's real wisdom behind that though too. That you think you're funny. I think you're funny. And your readers think you're funny, and that's why they read you. And people who wouldn't find you funny won't continue reading. And we don't care about that. We are not trying to get everybody to read our books. We're trying to get our readers who value our voice for what it is. They are going to self select in and having the confidence and just saying, yep, here I am. You might think I'm funny. If you do, you'll like my books, period.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect. Great answer. Um, and what is the kindest thing that it sounded like I said but and what is the kindest thing you've ever done for yourself as a writer?
I had to think about this one too. And I got myself a cat.
Oh, also first time answer. Please tell me about your cat.
So I decided that I needed, and I have a cat. I have two cats now. I decided that I needed a new cat in my life. And so I went to the shelter and I was like, "Do you have any cats?" And they did. They had two cats. Two cats. Someone was already looking at one of them, and then there was another cat in the cage. And they're like, "Yeah, but she doesn't really like anyone." And like you walk up to the cage and she's like, "Shh." And she like jumped at you. She was like this big, jumps at you,
Oh,
hisses, all her hair's all up, her tail's all up, everything. And the woman who is showing us to her like jumps back, like is visibly like terrified of this kitten. And I'm there with my friend. Her name is Kelly. And we're like, oh my God, can we hold her?
and she's like, "Do you want to?"
Yeah, she's like, are you okay? Like, I guess so. We're like, yeah, do you have like a towel or something we could wrap her in? And can we just hold her for a minute? And she's like, all right. And so she brings the towel, we get her out, and she's just begrudgingly just letting me pet her. She's like,
I
fine,
guess I'll take it.
I guess I kind of like this, whatever. Whatever. So I put her back in the cage, and as soon as she's back in the cage, she turns around and hisses at us again, like,
Oh, she sounds
"No,
wonderful. I
I am in charge here."
I love a grumpy cat.
Yes. So she was very grumpy, and she was a kitten, so she wasn't old enough to adopt, and they're like, "Oh, do you live in this county? Because you can't adopt her yet. You have to foster first." And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't." They're like, "Oh, don't worry. We'll make an exception for you."
Please take this cat.
Shocker, right? So yes, they basically I paid $5 for a box to bring her home, and that is it. And I brought her home, and she hated everyone for a few days. And then she realized, okay, you guys are kind of cool. And now she is the sweetest, the cutest, the kindest, like most docile cat I have ever had. She's beautiful. My kids like carry her around like Lion King pride, like, oh,
Oh,
like, yeah,
she was meant to be yours.
yeah. I always say those people were suckers for giving her to me. Suckers.
Five
She's the best
dollars.
cat. Yeah, $5. $5. That was it. Best money I've ever spent.
And how did she help you, or does she help you as a writer?
Um, she's like my little like when I'm like frustrated, like I get to go like lay on her and like she as soon as you get anywhere near her, she just starts purring. Like, oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, she sounds
So
wonderful. I'm so
she's
close to getting a kitten to go with my dog, who is finally old enough to maybe handle a kitten.
I
I
mean,
can't wait.
I'm pro. So
I'm
if you
so
want,
pro.
I think you should go do it.
Okay. Okay,
You
we're so
have
close. Thank
permission.
you. And it'll be good for my writing career. It's helpful. I
Listening
believe
to
in this.
cats purr actually calms you down.
I have read this.
Yeah.
I'm very anxious. I need that. I'm gonna say that. I'm not that
Right?
anxious in the
That's
moment,
why
but
writers have so many cats because they are wonderful.
and I haven't had a cat since we moved here, so it's been more than 3 years since we left the country, moved here, and then the older cats died, and yeah, I need them. I miss them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I did not know you were going to be enabling me, and I appreciate it.
That's
Can
what
you
I'm here
please?
for. That's what
You,
I'm here for.
thank you. You're
That's what
very good
women
at
should
it.
do for each other, right?
Right.
Like, we
Enable
got you.
cat
Yes.
collection.
Yeah,
Yes, enable writing and
absolutely.
cat collection.
Yeah. I
Perfect.
mean, the good things, the important things.
Speaking of the good and the important, can you share a moment with us that you first knew you had ink in your veins?
So my story of how I became a writer is I've kind of told it before. I'll try to keep it a little truncated here for you. It's kind of funny because I started writing because I became a more vivacious reader because of my
Mm.
niece. So she was a teenager at the time and was like, Auntie, will you read books with me? And I was just like, yeah, sure. You just tell me what to buy and I'll buy them and we'll read.
Have a
Because
little
she
book
wanted to,
club.
yeah, we had a little book club. Her friends didn't like to read, and she loved to read. And so I would buy the books. We'd have our little book club. And so there was one book that we were reading together, and I knew I finished before she did, and I just knew. And she calls me, and she's bawling her eyes
Oh
out.
no.
Her favorite character died. And I mean, I knew like she would have a response. I was not expecting that. That was a lot, right? And I'm an auntie. So what does an auntie do? I go, "Oh my God, girl, don't you worry. I got you. I will write you a book."
Normal, typical anti answer. Everybody does that.
Normal stuff. Totally normal. And so I did. I wrote her a book. I wrote her book. And so it did end
Oh,
up getting picked up by Entangled. That was my first book that was published. And it says right there on the front page dedication, it's for Erin, and that is her book.
and that's not normal that your first,
No,
everybody listening, this is not normal when your first book
no.
gets picked up. That is incredible. She must be so proud of you
Yes,
because
she's a
your
big
career
fan.
is really her fault.
It's her
Yeah.
fault. Yes. I blame her 100%
What
for
does
my
she want
new
to do
addiction.
with her life?
she's figuring it out still.
Figure it out.
She's
Yeah.
young. She's still young. So she's figuring it out and she's wonderful and I love her and
That
she's
is
incredible.
such a precious, adorable story. And you're a very excellent auntie. Well done.
Thank
Well
you.
done, you. Speaking of books, can maybe you read one with your niece? I don't know. What was the best book you've read recently? And why did you love it?
So I usually try to like stay out of the hype when there's like a book that gets super hyped, right? And I do generally for like a hot minute. And sometimes I'm just like, okay, what do we got here? So I have to give it props. I really, 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 really love House on the Cerulean Sea.
Oh, isn't it great?
So good.
The house on the Cerulean Sea. The house near this one.
TJ Klune?
Okay, yeah. TJ
Yeah.
Klune.
Mhm.
Incredible and so sweet and so loving and so funny. I just
Yes.
think his voice is hysterical. Yeah, that one lived up to the hype. In fact, that's one of the few books in the past number of years that I've actually stopped to kind of deconstruct. Did you do that
Yes.
too? Like,
Yes.
how
And
did
like
he make me feel this way? Because I
and
want to make people feel this way. Hmm.
savor it like okay, I
Hmm.
can't read any more right now because then it'll be over sooner and I can't let this be over yet.
Yes.
So
And I've
yeah.
read a few of his others and they were good and I liked them. Yes, great. Yay. But that
Yes.
one was really, really special.
Yes.
Agree.
100%.
Agree.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of other amazing books, can you please tell us about the seemingly impossible love life of Amanda Dean? What's it about?
This
So
book right
you're
here.
holding up the
This book
very
right
cute
here.
pink cover. It's got a wedding cake on it and people, and it's adorable. It's a great
And it's
cover.
got shine. You can see I have it
It's
right
kind of
behind on.
shiny. Yeah.
It is. Okay, so I did not know it was going to be shiny and I just got these copies and I opened them up. I got them this week. And so I opened them up. I'm like, "Oh, it's shiny." I'm like, "Oh, it's so
Oh,
pretty."
I love that.
And she's got a little my little Amanda Dean on the spine right here, my little
It's
girl
a woman in a dress on the spine. That is
woman.
adorable.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So, yes, I'm a little obsessed with the cover. Also, my cover artist, I'm going to shout out to Susanna Gentili, and she is amazing Italian artist. And
Mm.
I just her pieces are so thought-provoking and just gorgeous. Love her. Obsessed with her. I follow her on Instagram now.
Ooh, cool.
We're going to become friends.
I love to follow book designers on Instagram. It's super fun to see what they're doing.
Yeah, she does art. Like she's an artist. So she does
Mm.
like she's done Vogue and all these other things. I think this is the only book cover she's done so far. I don't know if she liked it or not, but I feel so blessed to have had her do this cover
Oh,
because now
cool.
I have a piece of art by an
Yeah.
artist. Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Now what was the question? Because I totally forgot. I got so sidetracked.
What is your book about?
Oh, so my book is a story about Amanda Dean, and it's the day of her wedding. And she is absolutely convinced, because everything is going wrong, that this must be a sign, and it is just the beginning of the end of another disastrous relationship. And so we kind of flash back and forth through her life, kind of getting to witness these situations that she's gotten herself in over the years, while we are also trying to figure out who it is that's going to be standing there at the altar waiting for
It's
her,
so
should she make it.
clever. That is
So
so clever. And because she is bi, I think self-proclaimed bi disaster
that is right.
on the description. It could be anybody. Could
It could
be.
be anybody.
I love that concept. Did the concept come first or did it kind of work its way in as you were going?
I literally woke up one morning and I knew Amanda Dean and I knew her story and I did the plotting. I just
Mm.
I knew exactly like I plotted her years of her schooling and all of the, like, I knew exactly who she was from
Again,
the moment I
listeners,
sat
not
down.
normal. Not normal. If you're not doing it the way Anne is doing it, you're not wrong.
No, 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 no. There's no right or wrong way to write a book. Absolutely.
Exactly. But what a gift. How fun is that?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. And where can we find you out there?
Me? Oh my gosh. You can find me everywhere. Where can't you find me? Where can't you find me? I am on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on the TikTok. I call it the TikTok. I'm terrible at it. So
I'm on
don't
it too.
expect
And
much.
I'm much
Don't
worse.
expect much
Yeah.
from me from on that. Uh, so I'm either A.M Rose, which is me, or I'm totally fantastic. So
Cute,
yeah. Again,
cute.
I think I'm funny, right? So
Well, you have convinced all of us that you are. And thank you so much for being on the show. It has been a delight. And I wish the book, when it hits shelves in about 2 weeks, as we speak from now, may it fly and everybody go pick up a copy right now.
well, thank
Thank
you
you,
again
Anne.
for having me.